So, good morning everybody, and welcome to the Christabelle Spiritualist Church. It is actually very good to see you all here today. It's not just on my script, but I really do mean that. Before I go any further, can you please shut off your cell phones, or at least put them on vibrate or do not disturb? And thank you, sir, for putting your switch aside. Now, we have already instituted those COVID-19 changes, and I do appreciate everybody, sitting a couple of rows apart and all of that social distancing. Now, because we have been monitoring the COVID-19 numbers, and they are consistently falling, and things are looking closer to normal, we are going to start singing in church again today. That's what I thought too. I missed that, I really did. So that now that you're aware, feel free to just belt it out, everybody, okay? We want to hear all those off-key voices. Especially mine will be. So, we will hopefully next week, it might be the week after, but hopefully next week we will be starting a pre-church healing service that will start at 10:30 and run till about 10:50. So, actually today, that's one of my announcements, is that today we're doing a kind of a mini healing workshop for anyone who wishes to work as a healer during that particular part of the day, during the 10:30 healing service. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So why don't I start with our announcements before we officially begin our church service for the day. And as I said, after church today, I'm going to be conducting a little workshop on spiritualist healing. And that is necessary for anyone to attend who is interested in healing during that pre-church service. And I would greatly appreciate anyone who wishes to volunteer for that. Wednesday, March 10th, we are having our Wednesday evening spirit reading service. Everyone in attendance receives a reading, and we do this every month on the second Wednesday of the month. We start at 6:30 p.m. and we go until everyone has had a reading. And again, this month is Wednesday, March 10th. That's $20 a person. Next Sunday, March 14th, I am beyond excited to tell you that we are having our Right Hand of Fellowship service for a few people during our normal church service. We're having actually 4 new members being welcomed into the church. And 2 of them are here today, so yay! So I also do need to talk with someone about a pre-church lyceum, and I was hoping they were going to be here today, but we'll get there. Now, if you could, we will officially begin our church service with the reading of our invocation, as well as our reading of the Declaration of Principles. So, beginning with our invocation, if you could, please bow your heads. God, open our eyes to the beauty of the world, to the wonders and mystery of creation, to your presence and to your power. Open our hearts to the love of others, to their goodness and their grace, to the great love that is for everyone. Amen. And now, if you could please, and I know all of you are already there, but if you could please turn to the front cover of your Spiritualist Hymnal, we will proceed with the reading together of our Declaration of Principles. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. Sorry, got distracted. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals, and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes proven through mediumship. All right. Now, at this time, we will be doing our healing service, so I will begin by reading from our healing list of absent friends. And as I am reading this list, I ask that you please visualize each of these people being sent healing energy, being sent love, compassion, all of that type of strong, loving energy that we spiritualists know how to send. Oh, and when I finish reading out loud the healing list, if there's anyone that you would like to add, if you'd just like to say their first name out loud, and then after that, we will move into our healing hymn. Joanne, Laura, Charlie, Mike, Martha, Jake, Fangling. And does anybody have any names they'd like to add to that? And I think I already heard one, but if you want to say it again. Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Okay. At this time, if you could join us in playing or singing along with, or you know what, let's stand up. We're all kind of tired today. Let's stand for this. If you could join me in singing our healing hymn today, number 109. You may be seated. Thank you, everybody, for indulging me with that. I'm so happy to be back here and singing with everybody. And now, if you could, please turn your hymnals to the back inside cover, and we will recite aloud our prayer for spiritual healing. We're almost ready. All right. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. At this time, we will be beginning our sermon for the today. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied. It's that kind of morning. And your sermon this morning will be given by yours truly. So, good morning, everybody. How are you all doing today? Now, I can relate to that, and it's not even the time change, right? Now, I'm asking that because not only am I interested in genuinely how you're doing, but because today we're going to be talking about healing, and specifically spiritual healing. Now, I have to insert a disclaimer here. When used in conjunction with qualified medical care, spiritual healing can be a wonderful way to help not only yourself, but also to heal your loved ones and heal their body, soul, and spirit. Okay, so I'm curious out here. Show of hands, how many of you know what I am referring to when I start speaking about spiritual healing? How many of you know what that means? Okay. Now, for anybody who may not be aware, I want to tell you that there are literally an unlimited number of ways that a person can be healed. But because obviously I am speaking to you from the platform of Spiritualist Church, obviously we are going to be speaking more about the spiritualist method of healing today. Now, the National Spiritualist Association of Churches, or NSAC, they define a spiritualist healer as being someone who, either through one's own inherent powers or through mediumship, is able to impart viable curative forces for pathologic conditions. Now, I just love the formal way that they really word everything when it comes officially from the Spiritualist Church. It kind of makes things sound so regal, doesn't it? The bottom line of that, though, a spiritual healer is someone who uses either their own energy or the energy of spirit to help heal what's wrong. Now, of course, I'm not going to just leave things at this, or, that would be a really short sermon, right? In addition to being a philosophy and a religion, spiritualism is also a science. And, so I do think starting there will be a good place. It'll be a good place to start and work with. The NSAC Spiritualist Manual states that spiritualism is a science because it investigates, analyzes, and classifies facts and manifestations demonstrated from the spirit side of life. Again, with that formality, right? It's actually so much easier to just say that spiritualism studies spiritual evidence and looks objectively to understand it. So, in keeping with that tradition of objectivity and objectively looking for evidential information, we are also able to look to the world of science to reinforce what we as spiritualists already know. And that's where, don't take my word for it. To back up our own spiritualist experiences, I actually found myself on the old internet Googling things up. And I was looking for some independent scientific proof of the efficacy of spiritualist healing. And, I'm sure you'll be absolutely shocked by what I discovered, but in the words of social epidemiologist Jeff Levin, it's clear from the correlational studies within the epidemiology data that positive relationships exist between religious and spiritual practice and health outcomes on a variety of different conditions. Yup. That's pretty cool though, right? I mean, once again, the science of spiritualism matches up with the empirical data that has been provided by literally over 1,600 university-funded studies. I love it when a plan comes together, don't you? Not only is there thousands of years of anecdotal evidence from countless cultures around the globe, science also recognizes that spiritual healing actually does work. So, okay, moving on from science, let's kind of dive right into the philosophy of spiritualist healing. In order to do that, first, we have to refresh our memories on what the philosophy of spiritualism is, while paying extra special attention to the healing aspects of spiritualism as a philosophy. Now, does everyone here remember how the universe and everything in existence follows natural law? I knew you would. Okay, so since everything in existence, every plane of existence, follows natural law, and these laws are immutable, everything that we do must line up with these natural laws. And this includes any efforts we make towards healing. And this is where things like the law of love, the law of vibration, and even the first law of thermodynamics comes in. And I know that last one we're used to hearing in physics and in science, but in my experience, spiritualism and its teachings really do have a lot in common with what scientists are also finding about the universe. Both science and spiritualism understand that everything in this plane of existence, as well as every other, like I said a minute ago, follow a series of laws that cannot be broken. In fact, it is the spiritualist understanding that any change that occurs during any kind of a healing is brought about by the due process of natural law. What can be perceived by some as a miracle is merely a representation of natural law that is beyond our current understanding. Even if we may not be able to connect the dots of the law of cause and effect, whatever happened was just that. It's natural law following its course. There is no such thing as a suspension of natural law. And I will say, I do apologize to those of you who may feel a bit challenged by that statement. But honestly, I find that a rather comforting thought, that everything that happens follows natural law. And why would that be? Because honestly, it levels the playing field if you think about it. When there is no suspension of nature's laws, you don't have any reason to wonder why something great happened to someone else, but not to you. There's no worrying about anything that you may have theoretically done that could have upset an anthropomorphic divine entity. Follow natural law, and your life goes more smoothly. That's the bottom line. Pardon me. Spiritualist healing really does help and it really makes it a lot easier for spiritualist healing, because if you're following natural law, you just follow that process of healing. And unfortunately, a lot of times what that means is that sometimes the outcome of our healing work may not necessarily be what we had hoped for. And there are a lot of reasons for this. I want to make sure I quantify this. Quite often, it's in a person's plan, in their life plan, to leave this earth in a certain way, or to go through a certain experience for their own learning and growth. And when that happens, unfortunately, even though it may seem unfair to a lot of us here, there's that reason behind it. There are certain things that we just cannot heal no matter how much we try. And when that happens, there's just nothing we're going to be able to do to change it. It's only when we really make our transition back to Summerland that we will much more fully understand why some things happen the way that they do. Remember that even though it isn't always easy, everything that happens really does have a reason behind it. In my case, it's usually that I just made some inappropriate choices, but everything does have a reason, even if it is beyond our scope to understand right now. Okay, now I'm going to move on to some happier things. I kind of had to get that out of the way just because it is important to talk about. But, okay. Now, I'm sure that when I bring up the first law of thermodynamics, that all of you have that memorized, right? Y'all know that one? Right off the top of your head, boom, everybody? I know you do. No? Okay. Put plainly, the first law of thermodynamics states that while energy can neither be created nor destroyed, it can change form. Everybody remember that now? It's pretty amazing, right, though, when you think about it, how, cold, hard science really does tie into the philosophy of spiritualist healing. 6 degrees of spiritualism for the win. Woohoo! Okay, so we've already talked about the science and the philosophy of spiritualism. That leads us into... Hey, there she goes. You get a gold star for the day. That is right, the religion of spiritualism. The Spiritualist Church actually defines spiritualist healing as such. Brace yourselves, everybody. Spiritualist healing is a gift possessed by certain spiritualist mediums, and this gift is exercised by and through the direction and influence of excarnate beings for the relief, cure, and healing of both mental and physical diseases of humankind. And the results of spiritual healing are produced in several ways. Hey, wow, I'm not the only one whose eyes glossed over there. The short answer to that is some people are just natural born healers. You know, after all, a healer's going to heal. Some people literally have an energy force within them that spiritualism calls magnetic healing energy that these people can use to heal others. They do have to be careful, however, because if they spend too much of their energy, if they expend too much healing other people, they can become very drained and then get sick in their own right. And honestly, I do feel it's a lot safer to channel energy from spirit as well as spirit beings to help heal others as well as yourself. Remember that anyone, and I mean anyone, not only people who are considered natural healers, can learn to, with Spirit's help, become a healer for themselves or others. Don't forget that Spiritualism teaches us that we all have the ability to become our own best channel for Spirit, you know, in whatever capacity that happens to be. If you choose to, you too can become a spiritualist medium. But wait, there's more. If you so desire and you put forth the effort, you can also become a spiritualist healer, regardless of whatever amount of natural healing ability you feel that you have. And that's how I'm going to word it. So how do we do this exactly? Same way we get to Carnegie Hall. Practice. So now, before we can actually practice that healing, it seems like it would be a safe bet that we really kind of need to understand what it is that we are doing when we practice healing in the spiritualist way. Make sense? We want to know what we're doing before we know how to do it. So, as I'd spoken about in this sermon earlier, I mentioned that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but that it just changes form. You know, and also, all energy in this world and the next will vibrate to specific frequencies. And I've talked about that that's how mediumship works, but that's also how healing works. Now, with all that being the case, how do you think that we transmute or change that energy from one form to another and change the vibration of that energy? Anyone care to wager a guess? Nope. Through the power of intention. Hold on, gotta get in my soapbox. I'm not up high enough on the platform yet. When it comes to anything of a spiritual nature, intention is everything. When it comes to healing, when it comes to mediumship, which is in its own way a form of healing, it's all about the intention. The power of intention and the power of your will, as well as the will of those spirits that are working with you. So, what is the best way to create that intention and raise our vibration to become a better, stronger, happier person, as well as a better channel for healing energy? Get ready, everybody. Prepare to sigh and roll your eyes like a teenager who has just been asked to clean their room. 1, 2, 3, meditation. Okay. All right, there we go. So I know every week in spiritualist churches everywhere, we all talk about how important meditation is. But there really is a good reason for that. It really does make a difference. If meditation didn't matter, honestly, they wouldn't be bothering to teach it in classrooms, boardrooms, even prisons. It does make a difference. It helps. It's a wonderful way to help you to, in all things, keep an even mind. Just a few minutes every day, focusing on your intention of that being a better, stronger, happier person who is more closely connected to infinite intelligence can make a huge positive difference in your life. It really can. And you will find, just as my own personal experience, what you will find is if you start meditating consistently, especially if you pick a same time every day, which I know is easier said than done, if you pick just a minute every day and sit down and work with spirit and connect, you will find that there's days where you'll start to look forward to it very quickly. 3-4 days of doing that every day, and you start to kind of say, you know what, all right, that's coming up, all right, I got 15 minutes, and I'm going to go sit with Spirit for a minute. You will find that it actually is very uplifting, very pleasant, and it's a part of your day that you're going to look forward to. You know, it sounds silly, but it's true. It really is a wonderful way to help. And the next step of that, the next step in our becoming a spiritualist healer journey is that all that infinite energy, all that healing energy in the universe, it's recognizing that it needs some form of intelligence to direct it, to put thought into action, so to speak. If that energy is out there, it's just kind of bouncing around on its own until we choose to direct it, because it has no specific purpose without us. So while we do have the ability to use our intention and our will to effect a spiritual healing, we as spiritualists, we also understand that we have some pretty amazing higher guidance that works at our disposal that we can work with. Call in whatever healing energies you feel comfortable with, from infinite intelligence all the way down to your own guides and your own spirit healers. Personally, in my case, because I am not a very formal person, I'm sure you haven't noticed that yet, I just ask for all those beings who are entirely of the best and highest to work with me, and only those beings. But that's just kind of my personal way of wording it. If you want to be more formal, you can come up with a more formal invocation to ask that spirit work with you. But you know what? I'm going to leave that up to all of you to decide how to do that, if you choose to be a bit more formal. And I should also mention that there are really two main types of healing that really happen in the Spiritualist Church. The type that we are used to seeing in our church healing services, which is also known as contact healing, but there is also what we call distance healing. And they really do both work equally well. Contact healing, or laying on of hands, if you will, is basically just that. The healer will stand over the sitter, or is that the healee? And while working with spirit energies, channel healing energy to the sitter. When doing this, if there is any actual physical contact at all, it is confined to the shoulders and the head area, and it's generally only for a few moments in time. The other type of spiritualist healing, the distance healing, by that, when I say distance, what I mean is it can be done anywhere from a distance of a few feet to literally the other side of the globe. This is actually a very similar process, where instead of the healer standing over the healee, I like that better than the sitter, they are sending that spiritualist energy to someone different, someone distant, I should say. Again, that's most often with the help of spirit. It can be an absolutely wonderful and amazing process to be able to assist in healing someone else. Even if you do not feel called to send energy to someone in this particular way, through laying on of hands or through distance healing in that sense, most of us, we really send healing energies to other people all the time through the power of intention. Put another way, never underestimate the power of prayer. You know how every week we say that prayer. We are always praying for other people. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like we pray every day in church when we're here. I ask the great unseen healing force. That prayer. What I've provided you all with here today is just a general overview of what spiritualist healing entails. If you feel the call to be a spiritualist healer, the Morris Pratt Institute, which is basically the college for spiritualism, offers an official course on spiritualist healing that can actually be done online through your computer. It's 15 lessons, and it's incredible. It's actually quite involved, and it will help you to learn the skills that you need to take your healing abilities to the next level. Through this course, you can also become what is called a commissioned spiritualist healer. Not only do you get, a nice little certificate that you can put on your wall, but you have the pride of knowing that you have accomplished something that is very worthwhile, very unique, and that you are now uniquely qualified to be a healing representative of the science, philosophy, and religion of spiritualism. And of course, we are always looking for people who would like to volunteer for our healing. So please consider helping and healing with our church. As you go forth this week, remember that you are able to heal, not just yourselves, but others as well. We all can. We have the tools, we have the talent. So the Christabelle Spiritualist Church, come heal with us. Thank you. As you can tell, that was a little bit of a different sermon for me, but it was one of my guides, Dr. James, actually was the one who was the main writer of that. So at this time, we ask that the ushers come forward for the collection of the offering. And if you will, please bow your heads for a moment. Infinite Spirit, we give thanks for these gifts so generously given. Without these gifts, we cannot grow. We ask a blessing for what is shared with us today, and a special blessing for the givers. May they continue seeing the law of abundance in their lives. We dedicate these gifts to the future of our church and to spiritualism. Amen. And for those of you watching from our virtual congregation location, or anyone here in our congregation here today, we also have a virtual offering plate that can be found through our church's Facebook page as well as our church's website. So please feel free to help provide the resources that we need to help keep this chapel going, and help pay for that propane bill, because even though it's getting warmer, we still have those fun heating bills to pay. Thank you, John. All right. At this time, we will be beginning our spirit greeting portion of today's service. And there's a lucky ladybug. And so if you could please let us stand, and we will sing hymn number 167, which is Sweetly Falls the Spirit's Message.
God of love, we are making to receive.
be seated. Now, doesn't that make a lot of difference getting to stand up and sing and stretch your legs and just raise the vibration here? I love that we get to do that again. Okay. We are going to, at this time, let's stand one more time and get our exercise. Please turn your hymnals to page 202, and we will be singing doxologies. Please be seated for a moment and bow your heads for our closing benediction. We close this service with the deepest gratitude for this day. We ask a blessing on all who have taken time to join us today. May we be ever learning, ever moving forward beyond the errors of the past, and knowing that we have an endless supply of new beginnings. Amen. This concludes our Christabelle Spiritualist Church service for today. Thank you, everyone, and for anyone who is attending the healing workshop to help become a volunteer healer for the church, please stick around. Everyone else, have a wonderful week ahead, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.